She was mourned not only in Gaza, but also in Glasgow, a home from home for a talented young Palestinian health worker.
I lost one of my best friends and one of the purest person I know in my life.
Dima AlHaj spent a year studying environmental science in Scotland before returning home to Gaza to work for the World Health Organization, to give back to her community.
She was very bubbly, she was very keen on her studies.
I think she was very bright. Her English was fantastic, you know. She was able to articulate clearly to us why she was here, what she wanted to achieve.
Her first achievement was a job at Gaza's Limb Reconstruction Centre, where Gazans who've been shot, mostly by Israeli forces, were given treatment and rehabilitation. That is, until October the 8th, when Israel's bombing campaign started. The family who hosted Dima in Glasgow in 2018 were worried.
I messaged Dima just to say that I was thinking about her at this difficult time and hoped her family were okay. She replied to me that, "Dear Roseanne, the situation here is really tough. We're trying our best to stay calm and safe." 25th of October, I messaged her to, again, just send her love and hope that she was surviving okay. She said thank you, and she said, I can see the support coming from the Celtic fans. She asked us to pray for us. She said, "This is Abood, my little boy. I hope he lives to see better days." And she sent me a beautiful picture of her son, who has her smile. And that was the last I heard from her.
Dima and her husband had fled to her father's house near Nuseirat camp in the south of Gaza. It was their fourth place of refuge. The Israelis said southern Gaza would be safer. It wasn't. The house took a direct hit when the family was sleeping. Somehow, Dima's 7-year-old nephew, Abdul Rahman, survived. He listed where in the house all his relatives had been sleeping, where they were crushed and breathed their last. Nuseirat refugee camp lies south of the evacuation line. Dima's father's house is west of the camp, within the supposedly safe zone. It was hit around 4:20 a.m. local time on Tuesday, November the 21st, killing Dima, her husband Mohammed Hussein, and their 5-month-old son Abdul Hakim, as well as at least 40 other people from the same extended family. Today, Dima's father, Abdulatif AlHaj, returned to the house. He's a doctor and was at the hospital that night. A lifetime of memories lies in the ruins.
This is for Hakim. The baby of Dima, 5 months only. This is still I could smell the baby smell. It is the house that Dima grew up here, so the whole memories of Dima was here. Every part of the house was related to a story to Dima. It was like a garden, I mean, full of trees and flowers and everything. But it seems that the Israelis doesn't like anything beautiful in Gaza. They want to destroy any hope of life in Gaza.
Such was the force of the explosion. Some bodies remain in the rubble.
My little son is one of them. My lovely son, the little son, 17 years old. He was preparing himself to finish the secondary school this year, and there was dreams for him to go outside Gaza to study medicine, maybe same like his father, or because he liked to be a doctor. but everything been destroyed in less than 1 second.
Grief is heightened by anger. This was a family home, he says, not a hotbed of terrorists.
I am a doctor, I'm a surgeon, I'm working in the hospitals, and my daughter is a WHO staff. Members here of my relatives-in-law, they were working in Israel as workers. They have permits to enter Israel. There is, as the Israelis said, they are clear, security clear. Everyone is considered like this in this house.
The Israeli Defense Force told us they could not address a specific query about the incident, but that they follow international law and take feasible precautions to mitigate civilian harm. Dima's cousin Allah remains in Glasgow, far from home, thinking of the family he has lost, above all, of Dima.
She has a full of dream. She has a lot of passions to following her dreams and traveling with her wee baby.
She was only, 29? Her little baby will never... It's just truly awful.
Yeah, there was an anger really that the ceasefire didn't come soon enough. 4 or 5 days earlier, Abdullah Latif's family, children, grandchildren, extended family would all be alive.
Along with many other people.
Yeah.
So many memories of a young woman who went home to Gaza from Glasgow to be with her family and to make things better, who wanted to build a life, but instead became a victim of Israel's relentless destruction of Gaza.
Well, earlier I spoke to Dr. Richard Papercorn, who's the World Health Organization representative in the West Bank and Gaza. He began by telling me about Dima.
Well, what I will most maybe what I really will most remember about her was her radiant smile, and that she was always willing to do more. Because she was not working in the office. She was actually part of the trauma and emergency care team, and she was working at the hospital, at the Limb and Reconstruction Center, as the patient administrator, and again with additional responsibilities. Yes, her work was critical in that whole team, and also to make sure that the Limb and Reconstruction Center kept going. And we made sure as WHO that this was an important part of our overall trauma care program. The trauma care program, one of the biggest components of the WHO humanitarian support in occupied Palestinian territory, both in Gaza and the West Bank. And she was a key member of that team.
And so tell me how affected you've been by her death.
Well, I think we were all, I mean, like the whole team, not only the team in Gaza, in Jerusalem and the West Bank, we were all devastated. First of all, also think about this. She, 29-year-old, and a young husband, and a small baby boy, 6 months, they were forced to move from Gaza City to the south. Then they stay in a so-called safe area in the south, in the family's house, and that house gets obliterated.
Israel has now vowed to resume fighting with greater force. You know, the truce is holding for now, but at some point they say they will return to fighting. And I wonder what your fears are for your own staff and for your work if that happens.
There were 36 hospitals functional in Gaza. Now, there were 3,500 beds. At the moment, there's only 15 hospitals functional, and most of them are partially functional, and some of them are barely. The health system is extremely vulnerable. We rely on these 12 hospitals in the south as the backbone of the wholesale system. It's a crippled system already. I mean, think about the resumption of violence in an area which was already the most densely populated part of the world, which is now even more densely populated, 1.7 million people displaced. So think about an eruption of violence in that area and displacement of people. We need to work with the existing health system. Make sure that those 12, 15 hospitals get back on their feet, that they are supported. There are good health workers in Gaza, that we make sure that we get the supplies, what we have been doing up to now, that we get much more supplies, medical supplies, trauma supplies, essential medicines, etc., that we restore the primary healthcare system.
Dr. Richard Papercorn, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.